What is improv? Well, obviously, improvisation means that it is completely made up, off the top of the head, off the cusp, out of thin air. The interesting thing about improvisational theater is by theater standards, ironically, it's considered a very lower form of art form, right? We always associate improv with comedy clubs or middle or lower class types of improv, right? Things that should be performed at a comedy club and a bar, and there's guys out front smoking, and it's not that elegant, which always really amazes me because if you look at the facts and if you look at the history of improvisation, it really is not a lower form of performance. It's probably one of the most complex, difficult theatrical art forms that is out there. Now, let's look at the history of improv really quick because a lot of people think that improv was created by some actors and they made a comedy club out of it in Second City and all that. But the thing is improvisation was never meant to be a theatrical art form. It started out actually as occupational therapy for adults or kids with mental disabilities. If you had autism or if you had Down syndrome, therapists would improvise scenarios with you. And they still do that to this day. It's called occupational therapy. And that's where improv technically originated from was it was a medical practice. It was a therapy. So for example, if you were somebody who had autism, a therapist might have you improvise a scene of you, interacting with people at a party. Like let's improvise a scene where you have to interact with people at a party, and I will tell you how you should act. Or the therapist might say, well, let's interact, improvise a scene where maybe you're ordering food at a restaurant. And they work with somebody to be able to order a meal at a restaurant. And that's what improv was. Improv was a therapy art. And actually, ironically, to this day, it still is because we still have occupational therapy. Um, and then along the way, somebody discovered it and somebody turned it into an art form. And then you come to modern day and you have Second City and SNL and all that kind of stuff. And then, boom. But it all started out as a medical therapy. Now, here's the thing is a lot of theaters, and you don't see a lot of improv programs at the college level at all. They don't really offer it as a class. I didn't even get to really take improv classes until was probably a year or two out of college because my college didn't offer it. A lot of acting studios don't even really offer an improv program. Even where I'm the artistic director today at North Texas Performing Arts Center, they never had an improv program until I showed up. And it always baffles me because improv, I think, and this is my personal opinion, is probably one of the most important art forms that an actor can learn because it teaches your brain as an actor to think in such a dynamic way. Because when you think about this, as a regular actor, right, you get a script, you create your character, but at the same time, you get a director, you get a choreographer, you get a music director, you get a set builder, you get a props master, you get all these people that are helping you with the show, right? You're an actor, you're learning your lines, but you're getting direction, you're getting the props handed to you, you're getting everything created for you, right? Because theater is a collaboration process. Now, let's say, for instance, that we take all of that away, and all we have left is the actor. And now they're not just an actor anymore; they're an improv artist. Because you got to remember, as an improv artist, not only are you the actor in the scene, but you're also the director, you're also the writer, you're also the scenic creator. You are also the prop master. You're also the choreographer. So, in your mind, you're doing the job of six people, all by one person. And it all has to be completely made up on the spot, created out of thin air. And that's improv. And that's why it's such a complex, amazing art form because you have to train your mind not to just think as an actor, but to think of yourself as six other people. And it all has to be at the same time in the moment. So, really, in reality, when you really break it down, improv is a very, very, very difficult art form. And it takes years to master. The good thing is why I think improv should be incorporated in more college programs and things like that. Is it teaches actors, as they're incorporating all these different six elements that you would standardly see separated in the theatrical production. It teaches actors. It builds confidence. It helps them make stronger choices in the rehearsal process. It also helps them to create stronger, better characters, act on their impulses, be able to connect with themselves more. Because you got to remember, improv comes mainly from your subconscious. When you're creating stuff out of thin air, your brain technically naturally cannot create things out of thin air. So the fuel for an improvised scene is it pretty much comes from your real life experience, right? And as actors, we are taught that we should draw from real life experiences when we're creating our character. Improv strengthens that connection between your mind and your subconscious, right? And the other thing too that's been kind of medically proven is that improv is also an art form that is very therapeutic. It's very therapeutic. And there's journals written about that, from a mental state, like improv, can help kind of, it creates endorphins. You're having fun, you're creating, you're letting your mind run wild. You're telling yourself that it is okay to just make up anything on the spot. And it's very therapeutic. And the reason that is because I want you to think about this, like when we were all kids, right? Before we got into like the modern day social norm school system, when we were all kids, we had these like bright, vivid imaginations, and we would do pretend play. Little girls would have tea parties in their room with their stuffed animals. I remember playing with action figures and reliving scenes or pretending that I was a superhero and saving people when I was a kid. That's all improv. And when you improvise as an adult, you reconnect to those same elements that you used when you were probably around the age of like 5 to 8, right? Because eventually, as you get older and you get into school, those elements they kind of drop off, right? Because as we get into the United States school system, it's a very shut up and listen system. It is very dampening to the imagination. It's very pay attention and think logically, right? Like our school system tends to numb our creativity. And as we numb our creativity and there's no outlet for our creativity, and we're creating this social norm of school society where it's like shut up and listen, and there's grades, and if you don't do good and you can't memorize these stupid facts and then repeat them on a piece of paper, you are a failure in life. And we're creating all this anxiety, all this anxiety. That's why all these people are so stressed out, right? But when an adult gets into an improv program, they're reconnecting with that pretend play and that imagination that they used to have. And it really helps them to relieve stress and to relieve anxiety, because not only are they connecting, back to their childhood, to those happy moments, but you're just letting your creative brain just run free and create endorphins. And it has been proven that improv can be a very therapeutic art form. And I think that's why it should be incorporated in more college programs, more on the Broadway level, professional level, is because there's so many different things that improv can do to improve a person's life. And I'll end this that someone once told me when I first got in the Second City. It was probably, a man by the name of Jeff Poole, who's probably the reason I am where I am today with improv. He just said, Nick, if you're good at improv, you're probably going to be good at life. And I can't state that that is a fact, but I can say that that's a pretty spot on observation when it comes to improvisational theater.